pens with. It's annoying. But all right, Angry Bears fan episode or Angry Bears fan podcast episode 8. We just got destroyed by the Bills Christmas weekend. Before I go too far, like, subscribe, comment, all that good jazz.
Did we really get destroyed though? It was close for the first half.
Yeah, I
They
guess. I
kind
mean,
of
that's
just
like every game. I guess, like, we're like tank mode second half of every game the last like 7 weeks.
pretty much.
So it was interesting, but I mean, just not like the score. It was just we were kind of in it in the beginning. Defense showed a few flashes, made some plays, but I feel like they just stopped playing in the second half. I don't know if that was adjustments or what, but it just seemed like the energy wasn't there in the second half.
Yeah, and like you said, it's been like that for a while now. You could say they've embraced the tank. I really think Houston fucked up by winning against Tennessee because I really think they beat the Colts this week, and the Bears fall into that number 1 overall pick spot. I don't know what it is, man. Like Houston, nobody gave Houston a shot, but with Malik Willis starting, I guess, with the way Houston's been playing the last few weeks, almost winning, they've been in one-score games.
Yeah, they're gonna beat some rookie quarterback. Yeah, and you're right. They're playing the Colts next. I'm guessing Sam Ellinger is gonna be in. Like, what the fuck's the point of playing
Nick Foles? Nick Foles.
Yeah, but what's the fucking point of playing him over Matt Ryan?
I know. And
I'm guessing Sam comes in at some point in that game. Like Nick Foles
probably. But I still think Houston wins that game.
That would be Lovey. That would be some love from Lovey for us. We need that. That would change a lot because everybody I feel like Bryce Young is much more of a clear cut number 1. It looks as of right now than anybody else. CJ Stroud and the kid from Kentucky, Levi. I think they got a lot more question marks. I think everybody's clamoring over Bryce Young. I think they want him. So I think
and like you said, it changes the entire dynamic because you can trade. So you're going to have a couple of teams that are picking in the top 5 that are still going to need quarterbacks. So you could trade that number 1 pick, and you could move back to 3, 4, and then
what if Houston wants Bryce Young? We trade back 1 pick, get 2, and do the same thing.
And then trade number 2 pick.
Yeah, do the same thing.
It changes the whole dynamic.
That would be my hope is that Houston really likes Bryce Young. They got their heart set on Bryce Young, and they're like, hey, you know what? We'll give you a 3rd and a 4th. A 5th or something, just switch spots with us. You'll probably end up getting the same deal you were going to get anyway for 1.
And I texted you earlier. This will be part of Factor Cap. With the whole Davante Adams debacle in Las Vegas. With them sitting Derek Carr, the whole reason Davante Adams wanted to go to the Raiders was because Derek Carr was his buddy, and he wanted to play with his college quarterback. If Derek Carr is getting traded in the offseason, they're obviously going to be looking for a quarterback replacement for him. So if Houston falls in love with, Bryce Young, we switch spots with them or whatever, trade the number 2 pick to the Raiders for Davante Adams and the 9th overall pick. I'd be if you were to tell me that we could trade the number 2 pick for the 9th pick and Davante Adams and that was it, I'd be okay with that. 100%.
I like that one a lot more than the T. Higgins one. I don't want to fall to 30 for T. Higgins. Like I said, I'll roll the dice. We'll just get the best free agent. I like T. Higgins. I think he's young. I think he's good. But I don't want to fall that far back. I want to stay in the top 10. I want to either get Will Anderson Carter or the tackle from Northwestern.
Yes, Skowronski, Peter Skowronski.
If we're going to stay in the top 10, that's what I would want. The T. Higgins, I saw you sent me that. That's floating around too. I've seen that. It was T. Higgins and whatever the Bengals first will be like 28, 29, 30, 31, something like that. That's too far. That's way too far back. For T. Higgins, I mean, he's nice, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't watch that many Bengals games. He puts up crazy fantasy numbers, but the Bengals throw it like every fucking play. That's all they do is throw short passes.
And I know a lot of people are sitting there and they're like, especially like Twitter Exchange, Bleacher Report. I've looked on a couple of those things, and a lot of comments that are out there are, oh, you Bears fans are delusional because the Raiders, why would the Raiders, if they need a quarterback, why would the Raiders trade their best receiver? Who are they going to throw to? Blah, 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 blah. and I commented, a couple of times, making sure that I plugged our channel in there as well. I said, look, realistically, the Raiders, they trade for the number 2 overall pick and they get their quarterback. Obviously, they're going to lose Davante Adams if they trade with the Bears. The Bears get Davante Adams. So who are they going to throw the ball to? I was like, what? You realize they're going to be getting something in return for Derek Carr,
Yeah.
whether it be second round pick, first round pick, high first, low. So they're going to get something.
It's not going to be a first.
They're going
First
to
source.
finesse the team.
Yes,
They're going
probably
to
a second.
finesse
I think
the
it'll be a
team
second
to give them a first round pick.
for like
whether it be
not in the offseason. Maybe after the draft. Maybe I don't think this coming up draft. This coming up draft is being a first.
The wide receiver class is still deep. They could still draft the wide receiver number 2, in the second round, and that's who their quarterback of the future throws.
Well, and honestly, it's not like you said earlier. It's really not up to them. It's up to does Davante Adams want to stay and play with the young quarterback? Like,
yes,
he could play. You could keep him, but I would have to see like what it'd be a big penalty to trade him, right? So he'd have to be really unhappy.
Yeah,
it'd be a penalty. They just signed him, right?
If they trade him before the June 1st deadline, which I think that's after draft. That's after the draft. It would still come with like a $21 million dead cap hit. Oh. But the Bears could also negotiate to where they give some money in return. You know what I'm saying? So they have all the cap space to kind of take that dead cap hit off of
dagger to the Packers.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree. But at the same time, it's like if you're Ryan Poles, what do you have to lose at this point?
I do agree. I agree with that logic when it comes to us getting a wide receiver. I'm not saying do something super crazy, but it's like at some point it's like, what do we have to like? You know what I mean? If we got to lose out on a couple draft picks or something, like that's just how the NFL is now. Like very few teams are building from within.
Well, especially when you look at Davante, he's still in his prime.
Yeah.
D-Hop, we talked about the D-Hop trade last week. He's entering the back end of his prime. He's 30. So
I think Davante's 30, right? 29, 28. He's older.
Yeah, he's 28. But either way,
I just think D-Hop's way more of a bargain.
Yeah, well, he probably would be, but I think he also has a little bit more mileage on him.
Yeah. I also think, but I do, in D-Hop's defense, though, unlike Davante, D-Hop has a track record of getting it done with any quarterback. Like,
that's
literally like 12 different guys. So Davante's had like only Aaron Rodgers, and he was kind of good with Derek Carr. Like, so you know what I mean? That's like I said, I think D-Hop is, if I was posed, that's who I would be targeting because I think he's can play on any team with any quarterback. He doesn't get injured a lot.
He would come cheaper too.
Yeah, and again, I think his price right now, I think he is on the block. I don't see why he wouldn't be with Kyler being out for at least another year. I'm guessing a third, maybe a second, but I would say a third.
Pull another Brandon Marshall trade.
Exactly. Yeah. I would, like I said, I would a third this year, third next year. I'd take that. Like I said, I think D-Hop is a plug and play, 1,000-yard, 100-catch guy. No matter, like I said, and I think that's what we got to get for Justin. Somebody who you cannot guard one-on-one, who you can't, like I said, with the way he's running the ball, D-Hop's going to be seeing a lot of one-on-one coverage.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And, we saw a little bit, well, not a little bit. We saw a lot how badly this offense needs a number 1 wide receiver over the last several weeks. Claypool being injured doesn't help matters because we don't know what we're getting with Chase Claypool. He wasn't acclimated with the offense his first few weeks with the Bears, and now he's.
That's not a good sign. You're the wide receiver. I don't even want to get into acclimated with the like. I'll give you 2 or 3 weeks. You just moved, change of scenery, new quarterback, but it's fucking wide receiver running routes. How fucking hard is it? Like,
I guess it's the verbiage. I've heard a lot of things about verbiage.
Even that, it's like he's a college graduate. Like, I don't want to hear about, like, dude, you get paid millions of dollars to learn. So what is it, 150 plays? And really, like, if you're breaking it down just to the passing game and then just what you're doing in the passing game, it's way less than that. Like, he should figure this shit out. I gave him a little grace before then, but I don't like this. That's already a bad, like, I don't like hearing that. Like, oh, he just have the offense figured out. Like, what the fuck? All we do is run with our fucking quarterback the whole time. What is there to fucking figure out? Like,
And then,
Uh,
we also got to take it into consideration too. We were talking a little bit about the Devonte Adams thing. His connection with Lou Getsy.
yeah,
You know, that's
yeah, that,
somebody who you just go in. He already knows the playbook. He knows the verbiage. He knows the routes. That's something to look into as well. But I was a little bit so that first half of that game against Buffalo, I was very positive note. That defense played really hard. They caused a couple of turnovers. Kyler Gordon again with another pick.
very good
He
play by
seems like
him.
he seems like he's really stepping up. Jaquan Brisker is just a beast. I don't
Yes,
understand how he did not get picked for the Pro Bowl. Um, that's a snub in itself. He's playing at almost an all-pro level, especially these last several weeks that he's been in the lineup as opposed to, you take a look at when he's out of the lineup and with Eddie
we're
Jackson not being
terrible
in, he has
without
picked
him.
up the slack big time. And these rookie corners are actually playing pretty well. Jalen
Yeah, that.
Johnson's out for the season.
But the
Um,
Jalen Jones kid, he's good. I mean, that kid can play. I'm not saying he's not a one, but there's he's out there guarding guys. Like he seems clamped onto his guy. My biggest problem with him, I wish he'd get his head around more. There was like the 2 times in the game where if he would have just been turned around, literally the quarterback threw it right to him. Like he
yep.
was playing such good coverage, he just hadn't got his head around. But he's been playing amazing. The pass rush is really what I just hasn't been there. The DBs haven't really been that bad. It's just like quarterbacks got fucking 8 seconds to throw.
Well, that first half, actually, that kind of surprised me a little bit too, because we actually got some pressure on Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, though, uses his legs really well.
yeah,
He was able to, escape that pressure and make plays on the run, which, it's gonna happen. It's Josh Allen.
yeah.
He's
He's amazing.
very, you know, he's
We
very
did
good
play
at what
good.
he does.
We did look good in the first half. Justin Jones more so up the middle. We're still really not getting any edge pressure at all. But Justin Jones up the middle, he's the only person that I ever see any flashes from. But like I said, talking about that, the more I watch, I think that's are going to be our biggest concern. Of course we need an O line, but I feel like you can just like bargain barrel fix your O line. I think it's more of a coaching and a philosophy thing as well, more so than getting really good guys. Like obviously the Bengals are good, and Joe Burrow passes for a lot of yards, but he gets sacked like a motherfucker. Like, and they went out and got all the best linemen in free agency, and he still gets.
Well, that's the thing too, is that the free agency market for offensive linemen took a little bit of a hit this past week
Oh
because
yeah, you're right.
Elgin Jenkins signed a 5-year extension with Green Bay.
I thought we were getting him for sure. It seemed like
Conklin
yeah.
signed an extension with Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
right tackle. But I'd still entertain Orlando Brown
I
from
like Orlando
Kansas
Brown.
City.
I think
I'd
he's better
entertain
than
him.
anybody we've had at right tackle.
Yeah, well, he'd be a left tackle, and
I
then
mean, he plays right now, isn't he? On the Chiefs, or
no,
is he
he
on the
plays
Chiefs?
left.
Okay,
He plays left.
he played
Just move
right.
him
Oh, he
over.
played right on the Ravens.
Yeah, but you can move him over.
Yeah.
Or you can move Braxton, Jones
Either
over
or,
to
yeah.
right.
I mean,
But and then you have Tevin Jenkins if he stays healthy.
this.
You know what I'm saying? But he when he's healthy, he's one of the best offensive linemen in the game. But now then if you sign Orlando Brown, you have center and left guard that you have to address because Mustafa is not the answer, obviously. I don't think that Cody Whitehair is going to be around, and
He's getting cut.
Yeah, that's just like a rotating door at that guard and center position right there. But if you can shore up that offensive line, you get Justin Fields, that number one wide receiver, man. I'm not going to say that the Bears are a Super Bowl contender next year. They'll compete for a playoff spot. I think 8 to 10 wins, depending on the offseason, is very doable. You also got to take a look at your contract situation with David Montgomery. He's a great guy to have in the locker room, but is he going to be worth $8 million a year?
I just think if we're gonna have Herbert, I just think there's no room. I think we let him go test it and see, and if he comes back at a super bargain, and even like I said, even be like the third one of our we still have a 3 running back stable, when we still get somebody else, because I do think he either needs to take another step, but if we get somebody more explosive next to Justin, that run game goes crazy.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too. Is that David Montgomery? He's a good power runner, so he's more like he'd be good in Buffalo. He'd be good in Baltimore. He'd be good in San Francisco, Miami, any of those teams. We need more of a one cut zone
Yeah,
read
zone
running
read.
back.
Yeah,
Somebody who's very shifty, elusive. So you kind of need like a smaller guy for that. Kind of like Pacheco in Kansas City. Even though he's losing touches, you need a guy of similar build like that to kind of
yeah,
run the offensive rounds if you're going to be doing those zone reads. So I could see that. But realistically, I mean, running backs are a dime a dozen. You can
yeah.
find those guys in the third,
There
fourth,
might be
fifth rounds of
somebody
the
a draft. I was going to say there might be some kid in the draft that fall like said fucking.
The kid from Memphis,
Yeah.
I was looking at. He seems like he'd be a pretty good fit. The kid from Michigan, I
He
forget
might
his name.
Corum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's like I
seems
said,
like
he'll be like a fourth, fifth round pick, and he would be. I think he would. I agree, he would fit well in the Bears.
as long
Better,
as you could catch a ball out of the backfield,
yeah,
you got to be able.
better than David Montgomery. David
Yeah, you
Montgomery,
have
he
to be
is
able
good
to
though.
catch.
He has been playing
You
hard
have
for
to
us.
be able to catch as a running back in today's NFL because it's a pass heavy league. A lot of check downs, so you have to be decent at your route running, short to intermediate route running, and you have to have some soft hands. And yeah, I mean, you saw towards the tail end of Adrian Peterson's career and a lot of those guys, when the running lanes weren't there, they weren't useful. The only exception to that rule has been Derrick Henry. Literally, but Derrick Henry's a freak of nature. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah, that
can't catch a
guy's
ball to save his life, but he's also Derrick Henry. When you're 6'3", 250 pounds, and you can outrun an entire defense, that
he
you're
gets some
just
big pass plays though. You catch him in the run because as you catch him on a
oh my
pass play,
God, man.
there ain't nobody out there. If there's no D lineman anywhere near him to slow him down, he is off to the races.
Well, all I know is Tennessee is fucked on Thursday against Dallas because Henry's not playing and neither is Ryan Tannehill. So, and they've got no
Damn,
wide
Henry's not
receivers.
playing. What is it? Tank season? What are they? Why is Henry not
Uh,
playing?
I don't know. He's hurt. And so their offense is just going to be completely shut down by Dallas. So if anybody's looking into daily fantasy or making a bet, that Tennessee Dallas game is going to be rough for anybody. Speaking of Dallas, I can't believe they almost lost to Gardner Minshew. He's
Oh
going
no,
to be a
Gardner's
starting.
like the best. I was gonna
He's
say
going
he's
to
the best
be
backup in the league,
he's
right?
going to
Him
be a
or
starting
Mitch?
quarterback. Well, I just find it funny that everybody's talking about how Dallas is a Super Bowl contender with their defense, and things like that. But when you have a backup quarterback, regardless of who it is, you know what I'm saying, he could still be as good as Gardner Minshew. But you're the talk of the town. Your defense this, your defense that. You give up 35 points to a backup quarterback. There's an issue. We've seen backups this year actually do pretty well. I
Yep.
think
And Philly's known for that too.
I'm going to put you in your cage. Give me 1 second.
Uh,
But a lot of backups have played their way into starting roles again this year. Sam Darnold has been doing an okay job in Carolina. I think he's kind of, shaking that off a little bit. Baker Mayfield
Yeah,
with LA,
Baker.
he's definitely played himself into a starting position next year somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be.
I don't know. It's a little. There's going to be a little musical chairs because you got to think there's two rookies coming in that are probably going to start, maybe three. Brady ain't going nowhere.
I don't think Brady plays for Tampa next year, dude.
That's what I'm not saying he's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's playing for Tampa. I'm saying he ain't going. He's playing on somebody's team next year.
Oh yeah, well you take a look at the quarterback.
That means
team.
Jimmy G's going to be a free agent, and he's probably will be. I mean, he's for sure the best starter you can go get.
New Orleans. I'm thinking Jimmy G ends up in New Orleans, or maybe he replaces Tom in Tampa if Tom Brady goes somewhere else.
I think that'll be more likely. I think. Well, they said Sean Payton's coming back. But he's got to stay in New Orleans. Well, he's got to stay with New Orleans unless they trade him somewhere or buy or somebody buys him out.
Somebody will give up a second-round pick for Sean Payton.
Who though?
Denver,
Dallas. If they lose,
yeah,
I know he wanted. There was
Dallas.
rumors he was. I know there was rumors he was going to go there initially when he retired. That he was trying to get to Dallas.
Maybe the Raiders,
The
if Josh
Bears
McDaniels doesn't work out.
bring him home.
There's been talk about the Chargers if they kind of crap out in the playoffs.
Oh, they're definitely gonna
Um,
crap out too. They ain't winning.
I mean, there's options for Sean Payton. I'm sure half the league would probably prefer Sean Payton over their head coach. I wish this was last year, and he was
I'm
thinking
not
about
worried
making
about
a
firing
comeback.
Eberflus, but they fire they fire Eberflus for Payton. So
I mean, it's just one of those things where
I don't know. We don't really move like the Bears don't move like that though.
no,
But
like I said, half the league is probably going to be looking for a new starting quarterback next year. Or like you said, it's going to be musical chairs because who
yeah,
knows? I mean, I think the Jets are going to give Mike White a shot.
yeah.
Um,
That's what I
so
mean. Somebody's gonna give Zach Wilson a shot.
mm,
Yeah, he's getting a shot somewhere. He was a second round pick or the second overall pick 2 years ago. He's getting a
you
shot
can't even
somewhere.
trade him for a seventh right now. I don't think.
Yeah, I think he get cut. I think they might cut him. They just don't fuck with the kid. I mean, I think they might shop him around and try, but I think if it gets to after the draft and nobody's done anything for him, they probably cut him. I
That
don't
that
think Zach Wilson will be on the Jets going into training camp next year.
that would be insane,
I mean, what are they going to do? They've ruined it. They've like benched him like
man.
4 times already.
Oh yeah, that kid. I mean, he can't play.
I'm not saying I'm just saying like he can't, and he definitely can't play there anymore. Like unless some new coaches come.
I don't even think a new coach would save his head
I don't
on
know if it'll
on
save him.
the.
I'm just saying that might get him another at least shot at starting. I just think with the regime they have now, he ain't definitely never starting again.
Oh no,
So
the whole city turned against him too. He's
yeah,
completely fucked.
so he's got
Like
to go.
I mean, it's horrible. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely gonna be some options. And like you said, it'll help the Bears come draft time, especially with that number one overall pick if we can get
Yes,
it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody. I don't think I've ever been excited for the possibilities of getting a number one overall pick because we have our quarterback of the future. So that just opens up a plethora of different things that we can do and a lot
yeah.
of flexibility with that pick going into the off season. And we don't have to spend all that money at one time as well. Like I said, it's probably a 2 or 3 year, build, a complete build.
If we
They
get
can
number
compete.
one, we could do it in like 1 or 2.
Well, they can compete for a playoff
Yeah,
spot next year regardless. But if you're talking complete 360 rebuild or a complete 180, you don't want to do a 360, a complete 180 rebuild,
a
um,
900.
then you want to take that slow approach, that 2 3 year rebuild approach to where you can compete next year but not quite there yet, get a little bit more experience under your belt, kind of find out exactly those final touches that you're missing, and then go and get it year 3. I really think Justin next year takes a step to something that we have never seen as Bears fans. We've never had a 4,000-yard passer in the history of our franchise, and that includes Smoke and Jay. You know what I'm saying? So I
Boy.
think he gets close to that. You get him a number one. He gets close to that 4,000-yard mark next year, if not surpass it, on top of 500 to 750 yards rushing. And you're talking possible MVP candidate. And for him to take that jump in year 3 of his career, year 2 of this new system, that would be huge for the rebuild of the Chicago Bears. It would be huge. And, we don't have much to talk about. There's only 2 games left. We have this game against Detroit. Detroit took a bad loss against Carolina.
Yeah,
Bad
I like
loss.
playing Detroit because it's going to be a shootout. That's all. It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
I think Detroit comes into this game pissed. They are looking to go to the playoffs. They have something to play for, and that's not something you hear very often in late December, early January. Is Detroit playing a meaningful game. So uh, it's going to be tough for me, but I really think Detroit wins. Like you said, it's going to be a shootout. But they're at home. And I think that realistically, Jared Goff tears us up again, probably close to 320 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown probably has, a buck 20 of those yards. But I see Jared Goff probably tossing 3 touchdowns. Um, it's gonna be like a 34-31 game again. Realistically, it's gonna be one of those shootouts. It's gonna be high scoring. It's a game I would pick the over in. You know, um,
I agree.
but I mean, we want to lose these games, but we also want them to be entertaining. We obviously don't want to get blown out. I want to lose these games. I want to lose against Detroit. I want to lose against Minnesota. Realistically, last week of the season, if I lose against Detroit on Sunday, if I'm going into Minnesota week 18, I just don't care. I'm embracing the full tank. I'm sitting Justin. I'm throwing in, hey, let's take a look to see what these other guys have. Let's let
Who,
them
Nathan
play a full
Peterman?
game. Just
No.
yeah, just to see what they got.
Who
Hey,
do we play last?
Minnesota.
We ain't. We're not winning that game. I don't care what happens. Justin
Uh,
Jefferson's gonna get like a fucking. He's about to break the. He's close. He's on pace to break the record, right?
yes.
Or not? Yeah, to get 2,000 receiving yards. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, they're gonna cook us. Like,
Yeah. So why even risk it? You know what I'm saying? Just your season's over.
in my head, and how I always looked at it is the mindset. I don't want guys getting their heads that like when it's all like we're gonna be resting guys. Like we're the fucking Chicago Bears.
I get it, but long-term planning, and I know the player's pride is one thing. Nobody wants to lose. They go out and play the games to win. But if you're Ryan Poles, you're sitting there, you're talking to Matt Eberflus, and you're like, hey, look, I want to see what some of these guys have to see if they can be on the roster next year. I use that as my excuse. Let's let's play let's play the third string, running back the whole game. Let's play.
I'm fine with that, but we don't have. What I'm saying is like we don't have a quarterback to put in to see. Like we don't need to see what Nathan Peterman can do. We already
maybe
know
Nathan Peterman can continue to be the backup next year.
maybe, but like I said, well, I don't need. We don't need to see that in the game.
Of course we do. If it means getting the number one overall pick.
Well, I guess I'm imagining it depends how this game rushing wise goes against the Lions. If he's on pace to break the record, they're letting him play.
I would assume so, but
break records. But that's what I'm saying. Those are confidence builders, and that's what I think. It's like if he can break the record, I think they got to try and let him break the record in a safe way where he's not going to hurt himself. But I think that is a confidence boost. Where like the end of the season, Justin, we sucked and we had a bad season. We can hang his hat on like I outdid Mike Vick. Like, you know what I mean? I'm fucking on, like, you know what I mean? I'm like Vic now. Vic, what, you know what I mean? Like, I could be him. Like, so I want shit like that to happen. It's a confidence builder. And like I said, I want these guys to have a mentality of like, I don't want healthy guys sitting out. Like, I don't want that in their head.
I would understand. Like I said, I understand. But I'm thinking in Ryan Poles' position right now. And if I'm Ryan Poles, I'm having a conversation with Matt Eberflus, and I'm telling him, this is what we're doing. Like, yeah, if Justin's close, let's see if he can get it in the first half of the game against Minnesota. If he doesn't, he's got a shoulder injury. He's out for the rest of the game. Like that. If I'm Ryan Poles, I am telling Matt Eberflus this because the value of that number one overall pick is in the long run.
Can't they do what the Eagles did that one year and just take Hurts out in the second half and put the shit? Like, did they do that like 2 years ago? Yeah. They were thinking and Hurts was having a good game, and they took him out and put some even worse guy in to like he basically lost in the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is
and they were saying what you said, like, "Oh, our season was over. We're just trying to see what this guy could do." Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we pitched that already. They're like, Cody White, don't block anybody for the rest of the game.
Long term, you know what you have in Justin Fields. Long term, the value of that number one overall pick.
I guess that all goes on if the Texans win. If the Texans win.
Yeah. For Ryan Poles, the value of that number one overall pick and the long run tenure of your franchise is worth more to me as Ryan Poles than Justin Fields breaking a rushing record for a quarterback. If he was on pace to, break a record for passing yards, franchise record for passing yards or passing touchdowns or, some different story.
Yeah, but we got to get wins. You get small wins, build into big wins. Like
you can get all the wins you want next year. I want no more wins this year.
I'm talking about personal wins for Justin. Like there's things for him to build on. He's the best running quarterback ever in history now. Next year you got to be up the passing game now. You showed him you could do that, now do this.
Well, then I sit there. If I'm Ryan Poles, I tell Justin, "Hey, man, you missed a game. You
That's
were
right.
hurt.
If he didn't miss the fucking game, he would have had this shit beat by
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah. Hey, you had the record. You got hurt. You missed the game. Yeah, it was negative
That was
27
on them
degrees
though.
against
That was on the.
Buffalo.
I bet you they made him sit though. I bet you he would have played that game if he could.
I don't. He probably wouldn't have ran that much either because
No,
that
but
shit
I'm
was
just
bothering
saying
him.
they. I'm just saying like he probably would have played that game if he could. So I don't
But
know.
I'm
I
thinking
want to
with
see
my,
Justin. I know
I'm
what you're
thinking with my
saying.
GM cap.
I don't. I do want that number one pick. I just like I said. I think long term, if I do think these things are built for Justin. Like I said, when he's sitting down and we had a losing season, and we're picking in the top 2 or 3 or whatever we are, fucking he like I said, he's sitting back and it's like I'm you know what I mean. I'm beat out what Lamar did. I beat out what Mike Vick did, and I'm gonna
But
be
see,
the better.
I think Justin's got the mentality to where it doesn't bother him. I think
That might be true too.
regardless of what you do, that man's the first person in the building, last one coming out. Everybody, all of his old teammates at Ohio State, talked about just his work ethic and what he did. Preparation for the game, stuff like that. I think mentally he's got it. I'm not too worried about that. Building wins, stuff like that. I think that will come with time. Like I said, next year, if you want to go out and shock the world and win 11 games out of nowhere and, win the NFC North and, do all that where, a year ahead of schedule in terms of rebuild, by all means, fine. But just long-term franchise wise, I'm looking at the value of, what that draft pick means as opposed to, because I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say that Justin Fields is out of confidence. I think that man,
No,
I
I don't
think
think
that
he's
man
out
will
of it. I just
walk
think it's
into,
even.
I still think right now he probably walks in and thinks that he's the best quarterback on the field, regardless of who he's playing. And athletically, he's correct. He is just athletically, there's nobody close to him. He's got the arm of Josh Allen. We don't know about the accuracy quite yet, though his completion percentage has been a lot better because he doesn't throw the ball that much. He's got better legs than Lamar Jackson.
I don't know if he's got better legs. He's fast. I think he's faster. I think Lamar Jackson has got that.
But the one thing that concerns me is just, pre-snap reads and reading defenses. I think that's something he needs to improve on. So
yes, because he's getting favorable looks. Like I'm not, again, I'm just a guy on my fucking in my office on my desk doing this stupid podcast with my best bud. But I feel like when I could see some of these reads, like you gotta be making these throws, guy. Like I know it's hindsight and I'm just some guy, but there are throws out there he's not making. I can see he hikes the ball and the running back's wide open. Nobody's running with him. So you just got to throw that, man. What the fuck are you looking at? Like
he's got tunnel vision. He predetermines where he's going to throw the ball a lot of the time before, you know what I'm saying? And that's something he has to learn. But he doesn't. I don't think he has the confidence in his wide receivers.
Yes, that too. But it's like he's got to, because of how good he is running the ball. We get really, like you said, really good pre-snap looks because they can't really cheat. They can't cheat and disguise stuff because they gotta play. They gotta play straight up for the run game. Because even more so, because Justin, you have to account for Justin. So it's like everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's. They can't be doing a lot of cute twists and stunt shit with the linebackers and the DBs because Justin's gone. If anybody misses him, and these guys are running around trying to shoot a different gap, and they get caught in the wash, it's over with. So you got to play. You got to stay at home against Justin, so he gets favorable looks. Like I said, we need a receiver because what I'm seeing out there is basically everybody just plays like cover zero and presses. And they're like, their O-line sucks. Justin's got happy feet. We're going to get to him before these guys even get out of their fucking, you know what I mean? They're still hand fighting.
Breaks.
Yeah, they're still hand fighting. And Justin's, you know what I mean? Somebody's got their hand on Justin. So we need somebody who can back them up like D-Hop, Davante Adams, somebody where it's like, you cannot guard him like that. You cannot play him like that.
Well, I'll tell you the one positive thing that I saw this week on offense, right? Because we struggled on offense a little bit, honestly. But the one positive thing I saw throughout all this, in terms of the injury history is, and we've been on this man all year, is Bayless Jones.
He played good, yes.
He had the best game of his career against Buffalo. I mean, granted, it was only 2 catches for like 56 yards or something like that.
He didn't fumble it.
He didn't fumble, and he caught a bomb. It was a perfectly thrown ball.
Oh, great throw!
Great
he had a good kick return too. I think he had 2 good kick returns.
Yeah,
actually.
And he had and the best part about that whole thing was that on that long 44-yard reception, it was a great route.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know
that
why they
was the
don't put him
where
back out on punt return anymore. Like, who cares? We don't care if he fumbles anymore, right? I don't
yeah,
like
well,
we're
yeah,
putting him on
pretty
the
much.
field anyway. Like, what the fuck?
We
Might as well let him.
might as well.
You
But yeah,
might as well let him. It's like, who cares if he fumbles a punt? We're trying to lose anyway. That's like the guarantee. You fumble a punt, that's like guarantee you lose the game right there. So it's like you might as well put him back there.
Well, he had, like you said, he had two great kickoff returns.
Yes.
Those were fantastic. He's an electric player. It's
Yes.
just he's got to hold on to that football, man.
Yes, he does.
And I did not see, maybe that was the confidence booster he needed that game. So now you roll out against Detroit. You have Chase Claypool, you have Velus Jones, and unfortunately you got the ragtag, trio of ESB, Dante Pettis, and Byron Pringle. Which, dude, I'm sorry,
they're so garbage. They're so garbage.
When you're talking,
ESP is a little growing on me a little bit, but I think it's more just Justin evolving and actually just throwing it to him. But my God,
dude, it's so bad. If you could go in next year and you have D Hop or Davante Adams, whoever your number one wideout, Chase Claypool evolves into a decent number two. You have Darnell Mooney as your three, your slot guy, and then you have Velus Jones as your utility guy. I think you're in pretty good shape. I think that's a pretty good wide receiver core because you're gonna command double teams with Davante Adams or D Hop, regardless of who it is.
I think Mooney, even Mooney is like a number. I think we get one more guy that'll open up Mooney a lot. Mooney can't beat. He's not good against the number one corners, but those number two and three guys, he can fuck them up.
Yeah, and, absolutely. That's why
he looked really good when we had Allen Robinson because Allen Robinson was having a down year, but he was still getting the attention.
He was getting the number one corners.
So
that's why I think if you put Mooney in the slot, that evolves his game because he's a good route runner. He's not the best. He's decent. But
he gets separation though. He's good at getting separation.
If you put him up against a nickel corner or a linebacker, are you fucking kidding me? That's mismatch all day, especially because he comes up with some of the most ridiculous catches that I have ever seen from a Bears wide receiver. He's got great hands. But yeah, Detroit. I mean, that's gonna be fun.
Detroit Bears game's always fun.
So let's jump into basketball real quick. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Just basketball. We talked about the Bulls and just how dysfunctional that entire thing is. They're playing better. Last I checked the score, they were beating Milwaukee.
Are they? I was trying to I was about to put the Kings game on, but
they were. I mean, they've been playing better, but I still don't think it's going to work. What I really wanted to talk about basketball wise is how amazing is Luka Doncic.
Oh my Lord, that was a fucking amazing game.
The only 60-20 triple double in NBA history. Like that's any doubters
sucks in Dallas, like. They're not
any doubters that anybody had about his talent is just, dude, you're just hating at this point.
I think he's going to win MVP this year. I was talking about with somebody else. I think he's going to get 3 out of the next 5. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
He's amazing. Just watching him play. And, dude, he just seems like he's an everyday chill dude. That post-game interview where he's like, man, I'm fucking tired. I need a beer. You know what I'm saying? Like, who says that? You know what I'm saying? Especially in a post-game interview. And we were talking, and I heard some talk on the radio too. There was a quote that Kobe Bryant years ago had said where he was talking about when he was in Italy, and he was talking about just the work ethic of the European basketball players and them getting the fundamentals. And he's saying that. I mean, Kobe said this. He said, in a few years here, the European players are going to be better than the American players. And there was somebody on ESPN that was talking about the 2 best players in the NBA right now are both European. They're not even American born. It's Ja Morant and it's Luka Doncic.
Ja Morant's European? Wait.
Yeah. I think he's French.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ja Morant is not American born, if I'm not mistaken. But I would still agree. I think they're the 2 best players in the NBA right now. If you're, talking this season.
I think you were talking about Jokic. Yeah, he's from South Carolina.
I don't know if they were talking about Jokic.
They are talking. They had to be joking. It wasn't Morant. It's not Morant because Morant is from here. his daddy is like from the South. If you've seen him on the sidelines of the game, he's not from. He's definitely not from
He
Europe.
seems he seems like he's a pretty decent dude too. I see him
Nice guy.
like I
Yeah.
see the
Talks a
I
lot
see
of
him on
shit. He
the
talks a lot of shit to him, but
yeah, and like especially the fans. Like he got kicked out of that one game or whatever when he was talking to the fans, and then they ended up FaceTiming those fans from the locker room that he was talking to when he got ejected. And I just thought that was great. Like that's what you need in the NBA. You need, more fan interaction like that
they need
because
more. Yeah, they need more rivalries. That's the
yeah,
problem.
because when you
They
get
have none.
crybabies like,
All these guys are they're all friends, so it's like
yeah,
there's no bad blood. Like nobody. It's not just basketball either. Nobody wants to watch a bunch of games of people who like each other. Like nobody
I'm not
wants to
saying
watch
bring I'm not
two
saying bring back the
boxers who
malice in the
respect each
palace.
other. Like it's cool if you're like a true fan of the sport, you might enjoy it. But the fights that sell are two guys who hate each other or disrespecting each other, or like nobody, or like one guy you really hate, you want to see him get knocked out. It's like there's no like there's no bad boy team in the NBA where like everyone
No,
hates them. Like, and the only
no,
time
like you said,
it
they're
happens
all
now is
buddies.
if they're a super team, and it's like then that's not even fun because the super team's just too good.
Well, there's not even, I mean, realistically, what's a super team anymore? You really don't even have those
I meant like
because,
KD on the Warriors. That was the last one. The
yeah,
last. Now it's just
because,
the NBA probably won't even ever let that happen.
well, and that's the thing too, is that, you got crybabies like, LeBron James getting fans kicked out of games because they're saying stuff that are getting his feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, but if I paid $5 grand to sit front row, I'm talking all the shit I want because
Me and
I
my
paid
brother
for
actually
those
got into a
games.
debate about that because he said the guy had said that he wished Bronny had gotten to a car accident or something, like, which I think is completely
Sure,
inappropriate.
it's
But
crossing a line, but dude, come on. Like,
exactly, that's how I felt about it. It's a fucking idiotic thing to say, but hey, you're at the fucking like, why are you even fucking paying attention to this guy? Like
well, see, that's the thing.
he's trying to get in your skin. It's like, is he a fucking Lasagna? You know what I mean? Like he's at the basketball game. You can't crash your son's car. Like you know what I mean?
Well,
Like
all right. So I'm not trying to compare the sports, obviously, because they're two completely different sports. But you take a look at something like basketball and fans saying something, and then you take a look at professional wrestling. We'll use professional wrestling as an example. Um, Fans at professional wrestling events say the most outrageous, outlandish, hurtful shit in the world. But you know what the quote unquote heels do? They take that and they use it as ammunition. They flip it. They flip the script. They play with the audience. You know what I'm saying? People like LeBron James and stuff like that. I can't even tell you. I'm pretty sure there's many professional wrestlers out there that are like, I hope your family dies. And you know what? All the old school professional wrestlers would be like, hey, I'm doing my job. If they're telling me that they want me and my family to die, that means I'm doing my job.
yeah, like exactly. It's like I just think it's too far. It's like you ain't never seen no baseball player get anybody thrown out the game for saying some shit. Like the outfielders get yelled at the whole fucking time. Like you know what I mean? Like I just thought that was silly.
Man
Like
up.
I
Man
thought it was
up.
inappropriate, but I just thought that was just like him flexing his power because it's like nobody else would even have the balls to try and get a person kicked out for. It's like, dude, nobody cares about your fucking like. Yeah, it's a fucking ignorant fucking thing to say. The guy's an asshole, but it's like, who cares? Like you know what I mean? Like people, sometimes people are assholes. Like that's life. Like,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I
if you're,
thought that was just really, I thought that was silly too. I did not like you getting kicked out of the game for that. Like, come on
yeah,
now. Like, they like ban people for that shit too. Why? Because he said some fucking ignorant shit to you, and it was like trying to get in your head at a basketball game. Like, what if a player said that? What? You could get him thrown out of the game? Like, if
yeah.
that a player could say it. Like what the fuck? Like no, oh, not like fuck. Why could a player when the dude who was guarding you, he could be like, oh fuck you. You know what I mean? I hope your kid gets into a car accident. You know what I mean? You're gonna time out. Rap. He said he was gonna hurt my son. Like no, it's like I'm not. Of course, obviously, a player would never say it was LeBron because they would get fucking blackballed. Like he would fucking ruin their career like a fucking that bitch from Black Swan. But
I'm
fucking
pretty sure the one person that would say that to him would be Lance Stevenson. If Lance Stevenson was
Jimmy
still in the
Butler,
league.
baby.
Jimmy Butler's got some balls on him though too.
Yeah, he
Man.
says some ignorant
Like,
shit. But it's
Jimmy
like, I don't know,
Butler.
that's just silly. Like, come on now. Why are we're getting fans tossed out of the game? Like, I don't like that. I don't like the shit with Russell Westbrook where he said they were saying racist shit. All right, get him the fuck out of the game. You guys want to be super fucking ignorant. Like, but that's like real life where you cross the line where you're like, If somebody said that to what he said to you in real life, are you gonna punch them in the face? Like, then maybe I might think about kicking the guy out of the game. Like, but if somebody said that to LeBron while he was fucking walking down Rodeo Drive buying fucking Ferraris, like, oh, I hope your son gets into a car accident, or like, you gonna fight the guy? No, like, so you would be like, whatever, and fucking walk off. But in a basketball game, you're probably fucking, I can't even remember the score. They're probably fucking losing, and you know what I mean. He was just being a fucking bitch in the moment because the dude was actually in his head and they were losing and gets him thrown out of the game. Like, I don't like
Yeah.
that. That's whack. Like, and I'm like, that people have had to said way worse shit to LeBron than that in his whole career. Imagine. He's been back to Cleveland like 5 times after fucking them over. Well, they were like burning his jersey. Like, what the fuck? Like, stop it.
Remember when Delonte West supposedly fucked his mom or whatever it was? Like, you're telling me that
people say that shit. They bring signs. You never got no like, motherfuckers kicked out.
Come on.
Some guys like, oh, he said something about my kid. Like, I have a kid too. Like, and fucking, I would not like it. I'd probably punch you. But it's like, I wouldn't get you thrown out of a fucking sporting event you pay to go to just because you're being a fucking asshole in the front row. It's like that's what you people's fans guard. That's what they do. Like,
yeah, and that's what they pay for.
Some are ignorant, some are nice, some are gracious, some are shy, some never say nothing. Like,
but see, here's the thing though, is that now in a lot of arenas, because me and my wife Sam, we went to a White Sox game this past year. And one of the things that was on the stadium entrance, like on the jumbotron before the game, was language would not be tolerated. You know, if somebody reports you for language, you'll be removed immediately, and blah 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 blah. So I think it's more so too just this whole new world that we live in, where everybody's feelings are hurt over the smallest shit. You know what I'm saying? It's completely gone overboard. As a fan, if I'm spending my money, even if I have my kid with me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit there and, put a filter on somebody else. If he's going to a game with me, my son, my 7-year-old son, what's he going to hear at a game that he's not going to hear in a movie, that he's not going to hear, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be stuff, obviously, yes, but you know what? That's part of the fan experience, man. Like, if you're going to do it right. And if you're going to sit there and kick people out of a game for their language, like,
I think the people are missing a chance to like teach their kid in that moment. You just say like, "Hey, I know this is like, I know that person said that, but we don't say that shit." Like,
yes, 100%.
It's opportunity. Like, my mom didn't like. She just be like, "I don't care how other fucking people are acting. This is how we act." Like, this is just an exercise. You get to see that everybody's not going to do it how we do it, but there are other ways to do things. But that doesn't mean you get to do them. But like, yeah, it's like, who cares if people are being ignorant? You fucking, like I said, if it gets to a point where, you know what I mean, being super racist or trying to hurt people or things like that, but people are fucking saying, hey, you're a pussy to the fucking outfielder. Do they really need to get kicked out of the game? Like, no, you know what I mean? If they're saying, you know what I mean? Like, I fucked your sister, LeBron. Like, you know what I mean? He needs to be kicked out of the game. Like, no, that's the shit you say at the fucking game. Like, yeah, it's fucking like, yeah, somebody might cross an imaginary line where like it's a little too over the line, but like he's not touching nobody. Your son's not even at the fucking game. You know what I mean? Like your son's in a fucking different city with a fucking $10,000 a day security detail. Like, he's fine. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, stop it. It'd be like I said, if his family was at the game, that guy was close, and they were heckling him, then yeah, get him the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? No, that's where the line is. But like him making a fucking distasteful joke about your son who isn't even there, who's being protected by fucking ex-CIA agents who probably killed hundreds of people. It's like, oh, but we're worried, like, oh, this guy said he's going to get into a car accident, so he needs to get out of the game. Like, come on, grow a pair. Like, your son, like, and it's like you're drawing a target on your son's back who's about to make his fucking, gonna go play college football. He's playing high school. It's like people are gonna fuck with him, and like you're being overly sensitive. They're like, oh, like, you know what I mean? It's like people are gonna be able to get people kicked out of fucking high school games and AAU tournaments and shit like that.
You ready for a little factor cap?
All right, let's get into it.
All right. So we touched on the first one a little bit. So, these will kind of go quick, kind of like a rapid fire. So the Chicago Bears have an opportunity for the #1 overall pick. They face Detroit coming up while Houston is playing Indianapolis. So I'll ask you, Factor Cap, the Chicago Bears should try to lose out to get that number one overall pick.
Well, that's facts. I mean, I don't as much as you can try. Like I said, I don't want to take Justin Fields out of the game. That's just, I guess, my selfish preference for watching the Bears game. I would have like zero interest in watching the Bears game if Justin wasn't playing. But yes, we do need to lose these games. I hope the Titans win. I think for us, luckily, we're just playing two teams that are going to beat us, so I'm not really worried about it. Maybe we might be able. The Lions, I guess, I don't know. We got history beating the Lions. The Lions aren't that good. They're just playing good, well coached. I don't think we're going to lose. The Vikings are going to beat us, and Justin Jefferson's going to get like 250 yards.
He's amazing. I would agree with you completely. I just think, and the dynamic of things, Detroit is a hot team right now. They're playing for a playoff spot. Minnesota, they'll be shooting for records. Justin Jefferson will be, but I think, that's going to be pretty wound up. If Philadelphia ends up losing, then Minnesota has a shot at that number one overall seed. Their playoff positioning is pretty much settled right now. They're NFC North champs already. They already clinched that. There's there's no plan for the division at that point. But I still think Justin Jefferson chasing records is going to be a big, thing for Minnesota. I think they come out and they beat us as well. So I would agree with you completely. I just think I think in the long run, long term things, I really think the Bears just that number one overall pick is worth so much, especially since we don't need a quarterback. If Houston falls in love with, Bryce Young and they get a whim, even if the Bears are the ones that are saying, hey, Houston, this team's communicating with us about jumping you to come up and get Bryce Young. What do you have to offer? Anything like that. So yeah, it's going to be a fun dynamic to see, especially play out in the offseason. I'm going to love it. So number two, Davante Adams and DeAndre Hopkins are possible availabilities in terms of wide receivers for the Bears in the offseason. Davante Adams, obviously, with that issue in Las Vegas with Derek Carr being benched. They're saving his health for a possible offseason trade. And then you have the abysmal Arizona Cardinals and everything that's going on there with Cliff Kingsbury probably being out the door, as well as Kyler Murray missing all of next year because of his torn ACL. So I asked Factor Cap, Davante Adams or DeAndre Hopkins will be wide receiver one for the Chicago Bears next year.
I'd like to say fact, but I'm going to say Cap. I don't think they're going to get a deal done for any one of those guys. I think we're going to end up drafting a wide receiver because we're going to fall too far back to get Carter or Davis. And I think Addison or that kid from TCU is going to be our wide receiver one next year. I really do. I'm trying to be optimistic, but in a perfect world, that is who I want. I think D Hop or Davante Adams would be great. I don't know what I would have to see the Davante Adams contract and how big of a fucking
31 mil would be the cap hit
for us a year. Yeah, that's a lot.
But it's a 5-year deal.
Yeah, and it probably gets bigger each year too.
Yeah, it jumps from I think it ranges from 31 to like 36 over the course of those 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want Davante Adams for that price. I would much rather have D Hop. His contract's probably like 25 or some shit like that.
19.6.
Well, that's not, yeah, like I said, I'd much rather have him. And I think, like we were talking about earlier, he's already proven he can play with anybody at quarterback. He's played with Josh Rosen, fucking Colt McCoy, Kyler, when he was in he was with D Hop, before D Hop, all those shitty Texans quarterbacks. So I think he's proven that it don't matter who's at quarterback, he's going to be fine. And I don't know if we've seen that from Davante Adams yet.
I would agree. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to happen? No.
That's not the Bears' luck.
No. It's not just. I don't think it's in. I think in Ryan Poles' vision. I don't think that fits his vision.
I think we get Payne. Right now, I think we will get one of the top 5 defensive players who are free agents. So I think
free agents, yeah, absolutely.
I'm 1,000,000%. I think Poles will get one of those guys. I think it'll be Payne. Just looking at it right now, I don't think he's coming back in Washington, so he's definitely going to hit the market. And I think the Bears basically got a blank check for a pass rusher. So, and I think it'll be, somebody on the D line. they're getting a blank check. Whatever the max is, whatever the fuck the market setting deal is going to be, they're going to be getting it from Ryan Poles.
All right, number three, Velus Jones had his best game as a professional last week. He caught 2 balls for 56 yards. He seemed to be running routes pretty well. Returned a couple of kicks for a good amount of yardage. Set up the Bears in really good field position. So I asked you, Factor Cap, these next 2 games are absolutely important and indicative for Velus Jones Jr.'s career for him to show up and prove that he could be in the NFL next year.
That's facts. Yeah, he has to get in. He has to show something. Like I said, I think they need to feature him a little bit more because he just is the way he fumbles. Like unless he makes major strides in the offseason and like becomes friends with Justin, uh, he's got to go. The fumbles. I mean, he ran a nice route on that deep pass to Fields, but I mean, he still only had 2 catches in the game. He had a nice little jet sweep. It kind of got some yardage, but again, I don't know. Getsy's got to be getting him the ball too. So it's not all on him, but I don't know if he's put the fear in him with the fumbles, but he does need to show us. I don't think we're waiting for training camp to give him another shot. We need to see it right now, or we're just going to draft another guy. And you're never going to get a chance in the field again.
Yeah, like you said, everybody was calling for his head before last week because of the fumble issues, the drops, stuff like that. So these next 2 games are going to be extremely imperative for his career. I'm not saying he has to go out and have a 100-yard game, but he's got to go out and show he's competent as a route runner, as a ball handler. He's got to be able to hold on to that football. Don't fumble another fucking ball. The next 2 games, whatever you do, I don't care if you're going back there, returning punts again. You fumble on a kickoff. I will if he does it again, if he fumbles again this season, especially in when the game's on the line, he will not. If I'm Ryan Poles, he will not be on the team the next day. I will cut him right then and there. There's no reason for that. If you can't hold on to the football, you can't be a professional football player. Those are just facts. It's just the way it is. All right. This one's the last one. I know we're only doing 4 this week. So Justin Fields has an opportunity, obviously, next year with a new offense, new weapons, year 3 of his career, as well as year 2 of, this current system. Expectations are going to be high. So I ask you, Factor Cap, Justin Fields will be considered an MVP candidate next year.
I'll say facts. I don't know if he'll be a top runner, like a front runner, but I do think his numbers will be up there. I think he'll have over 3,000 yards passing and probably 800 to 1,000 rushing yards. And what is he? He's at 24 total TDs right now and 10 picks. I think he'll be something like probably 35 total TDs and 10 picks next year. So it'll be hard to keep him out.
Well, this question I kind of attribute this question to the hype that surrounded Trubisky after, the year that he had going into, after 2018 going into 2019. Yeah. Where, everybody thought he was going to take this major step forward. Obviously, we saw how that played out. He didn't. But I also think that Justin Fields is a much more talented quarterback than Mitch Trubisky ever was. I just think that a lot of popular bets with the way that he was talked about earlier being a possible MVP candidate, I think that it's going to translate into next year. I think there's going to be a lot of hype, especially if the Bears do something drastic in the offseason to bring in a number 1 wide receiver. I would not be surprised if you see a lot of bets in Vegas placed on Justin Fields as a MVP candidate, and he opens up somehow, probably within the top 15 of MVP votes in terms of betting. I would not be surprised by that at all because, like I said, the hype train is very real.
I think he won't be top 5, but I do think as it goes.
No, I said top 15.
Oh, 15. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, top 15. Because the hype train is very real in the NFL.
What is he in fantasy points? He's probably one of the top fantasy point scorers.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see what hype does, in terms of just players in general. You take a look at a player that we just dogged on earlier with Zach Wilson. He's absolute trash. He had one good pro day, one good throw in his pro day, and the hype train took him from being, a 4th-round quarterback pick to being the number 2 overall pick in the draft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hype can take a player's stock from here and put it up here, regardless if he's earned it or not. I'm not saying Justin hasn't earned it, but you see the potential there with Justin Fields being an MVP caliber player. And if the Bears do something drastic in the offseason to help improve his position and improve that offense, then you're going to see a lot of people saying Justin Fields for MVP next year, or he's
I
going to be
do
a
think
popular bet in the offseason.
I think more so than any other time in our history, I do think we have a guy who feel confident. I think Justin Fields will get an MVP.
Oh, at some point,
I
absolutely.
don't know if it'll be next year, but I just think he is a talented kid. And if, like I said, if Lamar got one, if the coaching staff and the team will get behind him, I think Justin Fields can get himself one too.
That's all I have for you today, man.
All right. Well, that was fun. Hopefully the Bears don't win. It should be a fun game, though. High scoring Alliance. It was nice talking to you, and I will see you soon.
Comment, like, and subscribe.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You got me for it. All right. Good night.